Minecraft 1.21 Tricky Trials is releasing with a bunch of great stuff, but something is missing, and that something is me. I'm making this update worse. As soon as the structure was revealed in Minecraft Live, people took note of the fact that it's made of tuff and copper. In previous mob votes, there was the copper golem and tuff golem, which were made of these exact materials. So people thought, hey, they could implement the golems and add them to this structure. Of course, that didn't happen. And I don't want to repeat myself because I've already made videos on the copper and tuff golems. So instead, with 2 tuff slabs, you can make the tuff slab golem. And these fellas do a very important thing, which is, let me make a new one. They'll stack on top of each other. So if I get a bunch of them, they're all gonna just stack into a taller tower. As far as I know, there is no limit to this. I think they're just gonna keep stacking until they start suffocating in the ceiling. You guys good? All right, let's see what happens when we get one more golem. Oh, yep, sorry, buddy. And instead of a copper golem, we have the copper great golem. Isn't that great? Given this big grate these guys have, it wouldn't surprise you to learn that you can give them any item and they'll grate it for you. So I thought to myself, what's something special I can do with this? Parmesan. Spaghetti plate. Thank you for grating my Parmesan. Did I just eat the plate? This update also adds the Breeze, a new elemental type mob, which is really cool to see. I like having more blaze type mobs, and so I think you can see where I'm going with this. As you might know, the Breeze only spawns in the trial chambers, and the spawners with breezes are signified with the chiseled tuff block. So I may or may not have modified how the trial chambers generate. What's this, glass blocks? I'd like you to meet the potion elemental mob, the bottle. These are not an easy foe because they throw potions at you, which can do a lot of damage. And now I'm weak. Now I'm slow. Ow, okay, I gotta get rid of this guy. You can see they indicate the next potion they have by what color their head is. This is so annoying because I have weakness. And there's another one. There is another elemental signified with honeycomb, and that is the bees. It's literally a beehive with eyes made of spinning bees. Alright, let me kill this guy before I get stung to death. Yay! Oh no, I forgot 2 of them spawn. This mod has one last elemental type, and it is the brains. This guy doesn't actually fight you. Instead, it just imagines itself winning. A bit of advice for Mojang, maybe don't release an update called Tales and Trails, and then release an update called Tricky Trials, where both updates have 2 words that are almost identical. It doesn't help that with this update we have the Trial Chambers, and with the previous update we got the Trail Ruins. These 2 names are very similar and can be confusing. To help with the confusion, my mod adds the Trail Chambers. It's a chamber with trails. I even made all this procedurally generated, like these will be randomized with each structure you find, and even these things in the walls will be randomized. You may ask, does anything special happen here? What can I get out of this structure? Nothing. It's a trail chamber. Of course, if there's the trail chambers, then logic goes that there's also the trial ruins. This is yet another procedurally generated structure. It's filled with gravel and dirt, and suspicious gravel that can be brushed for artifacts. Because it generates with cracks to the surface, this structure often gets flooded by generating under oceans. This structure is packed with corridors that lead into much larger rooms, filled with a new mob. My thoughts were, if you can brush stuff out of gravel, then what if there was a mob that could brush stuff out of you? So, when these mobs attack me, you'll notice that they start brushing my items out of me, as if I'm a suspicious block. Oh no, my sword! Oh, and now they're brushing my boots out of me. If you want to get your hands on this mod, my members on Ko-Fi have access to it right now. If you'd like to support me and get early access to my mods, there's a link in the description. Don't fret, in 3 months this mod will be publicly released. Let's talk about Bad Omen, which was reworked in this update. You now get it by drinking the ominous bottle, which you can get by killing pillager captains or from the trial chambers. And now raids fall under something called ominous events, where you get a status effect And in this case, it's one called Raid Omen, where when it runs out, the raid begins. So you have an opportunity here to drink milk and cancel it out. Alternatively, Bad Omen can become Trial Omen. In this case, the trial spawners will either spawn their mobs with armor, or for mobs that don't have armor, it'll spawn extra. For even more challenge, these ominous trial spawners spawn these ominous item spawners. The items they spawn can be potions, or it can be projectiles that'll damage you. Interestingly, there are 4 new potions that can also spawn with these ominous item spawners. Notably, there's Oozing, where the affected mob spawns slimes when they die. And there's Infestation, where the affected mob can spawn silverfish as they take damage. There we go. These are interesting because they set a new precedent for potions that can spawn mobs. By the way, all of those were vanilla features as context for the next thing I added. I added my own potion that can spawn mobs. This potion is called Horseplay. When a mob is affected by it, they get a horse to ride. And if you get it, then you get your own horse. And if you try and dismount, a new horse will spawn. So you cannot stop riding horses until the effect is over. By default, a mob will get put on a normal horse, but if they're a skeleton, they get a skeleton horse, and if they're a zombie, they get a zombie horse. You can brew this potion yourself with an awkward potion and a saddle. Back to Bad Omen, I think it's really cool to give the players the option to make their game harder if they choose. Right now, this only exists as Trial Omen and Raid Omen, but why not add some more? When you craft, you normally have access to the recipe book because it's really hard to remember all the recipes. But if you have Bad Omen, and you start crafting, you get Crafting Omen. Now you can't access the recipe book. There's also recipe book particles around me. If you're playing around with redstone and you have the Bad Omen effect, you'll get Tinker Omen, which will cause your redstone components to start randomly breaking. Uh-oh. If you have Bad Omen and you barter with a piglin, you'll get Barter Omen. And when the piglin completes the barter, you'll see that I actually don't get anything and they want golden boots instead. So if I try it again, you'll see they want a golden apple this time. Alright, fine, take a golden apple. And this time, they actually wanted gold ore. Because piglins function on a barter-based economy, I've implemented a double coincidence of once. Barter only happens when both parties have something the other one wants. And so by randomizing what the piglin wants, I recreate the problem, which is that both parties won't always have what the other wants. So now if you actually want to get something out of the piglin, you gotta hope that your gold item is actually wanted by them. This next one I put way too much time into. If you have Bad Omen and you start fishing, oh, what's this? That's right. In order to stay fishing, you need to play a Flappy Bird pufferfish minigame. You got 2 inputs here. You can left click to jump upwards, or I guess swim upwards, and then you can right click to normally stop fishing. If you touch the bottom, touch the top, or you hit an obstacle, you also stop fishing. So your goal here is to keep this minigame going until you can actually catch a fish. Oh yeah, did I mention you can move around the world at the same time? This is not trippy at all. When you do actually catch a fish, you'll get extra luck added. And hey, would you look at that, I got a pufferfish. While coding this, one thing I like to do was change the amount of bubbles that spawned, so 1 second, let me switch that. Alright, how does this look? Yeah, look at all these bubbles. We can go further. More. Alright, I think this is the limit. Given that there's Trial Omen in the Trial Chambers, what if there was Trail Omen in the Trail Chambers? Alright, let's see. Maybe this structure has more features after all. Yes, the Trailblazer. And I also got Trail Omen. Before I fight this guy, let's see how it fares against an Iron Golem. Yeah, it won. Oh my goodness, it turns everything it hits into a path block. They stood no chance. Well, my turn to fight. Never mind. When an ominous trial spawner is defeated, it can drop an ominous trial key. Let's pretend it dropped an ominous trial key there. And with this, you can unlock an ominous vault. Okay, let's pretend it dropped a heavy core there. Whoa, you can get a heavy core. Look at how heavy it sounds. If you take a breeze rod and combine it with the heavy core, you get the Mace, a new weapon. Now, what I think would make this weapon a lot better is recognizing that because it's made of the heavy core, it's really heavy. So if you try and hold it, you start dragging it along the ground because it's too heavy for you to carry. I'm left clicking right now and I can't even do anything with it. If we want to use the mace, we'll need to get stronger. So with another breeze rod and 2 heavy cores, you can make the heavy weight. And now I can put 1 in each hand and start working out. As you see, just like in real life, I immediately start getting buffer. My arms have widened to the point that I'm no longer a slim skin, but I can keep going till eventually, yeah, I think I'm strong enough. Finally, I can hold the mace without dragging it along the ground. And for some reason, everything I hold looks extra wide. What makes the mace special is it does more damage the more you fall, so let's try it out. Something is different here. Yeah, so I made the mace flatten any mob you damage. Here we have a horse that squished a whole bunch, and I can just ride it. It works. Okay, maybe not. It's a little funky. There we go. It's like I have a magic carpet. One thing I forgot to mention is that there's no limit to how swole you can get while working out. Give me a minute. I'm gonna keep doing this. Not yet. A little more. All right, I'm ready. Look at this wingspan. And yes, I mean wingspan, because at this point, I might as well be able to glide. Here's a fun experiment you can do with the heavy core. Let's make it approach criticality. Put down a beryllium half sphere, put the heavy core in it, slot in a screwdriver, and put the other half sphere on top. Now we have a small gap that prevents this from going critical. Uh-oh. Ugh. Well, that does it.